our Across the Aisle segment tonight, imagine being called a Nazi when your grandfather helped liberate concentration camps from the Nazis during World War II. That's the accusation Jack Phillips faced when Colorado Civil Rights Commissioner Diane Rice compared him to the Nazis over his refusal to bake a wedding cake for a same-sex couple. Take a look at this.
One of the commissioners on the Colorado Civil Rights Commission called religious freedom despicable rhetoric and compared not making a cake to slavery and the Holocaust. That was particularly offensive to me because my dad fought in World War II. He landed on Omaha Beach, Normandy. He fought across France. He fought across Germany. He ended up being part of a group that helped liberate Buchenwald concentration camp. And for her to compare not making a cake to the Holocaust, knowing what my dad went through, was just ludicrous and personally offensive.
Now keep in mind, Phillips did not refuse service to gay people. He simply declined to build a custom wedding cake for a gay wedding since gay marriage violates his religious beliefs. He is now being sued for those actions. But the Trump administration has sided with Phillips in the upcoming Supreme Court case over whether Phillips can be compelled to take an action that violates his religious conscience. If this case shows anything, it shows that progressives do not care about religious freedom. With me now, professor and author of Obama's America, a transformative vision of our national identity, Ian Reifowitz. Ian, good to see you.
Good to be back, Liz.
All right, Ian, weigh in on this case for me, because to me it seems very cut and dry. It is a matter of the First Amendment. It's a matter of religious liberty. It's not a matter of whether his religious beliefs offend anybody. He has a right to act according to his conscience, and that's what he did.
Well, clearly, anybody who knows the history of the United States and American constitutional law knows that you don't have the right to act however you like on the basis of your religious beliefs. Let me say that to call somebody a Nazi who is not a Nazi is unacceptable. It's beyond the pale. There's just no defending that. I take Mr. Phillips at his word when he says that he rejects those beliefs, and they have no place in this debate. Having said that, the religious beliefs of a person do not give them the right to discriminate in terms of a public business. Right? The people who went to the lunch counters in the segregated South and were denied service by people, they were denied service by people who, in some cases, claimed that their religious beliefs were behind their decision. There were people who had religious beliefs that led them to believe that interracial marriage was unacceptable.
Right. No, I understand that. I understand the troubled history of our country.
It's not a blank check, is the point.
Right, and I understand that you can't discriminate against someone for a characteristic that they are not in control of. That's racism or what have you. Right. In this situation, you understand that Mr. Phillips said to this gay couple and one of their mother who came into the store to request this custom cake, he said to them, "You can buy anything that's in my store." He did not discriminate against them as people. He simply declined to lend his artistic ability to build a custom cake to participate in a ceremony that violated his religious beliefs. Do you not differentiate between the two, between discriminating against a person who is gay and declining to participate in a religious ceremony that violates your own religious beliefs?
Well, we have to define a lot of these terms here. First of all, I would argue that baking a cake is not participating in a ceremony. I did a lot of research to find out exactly what was going on in this case. Not this cake. Well, I guess
good pun, though, unintentionally.
And thank you. That was unintentional, yes. Look, in terms of my own personal opinion, here's where I would draw the line. If somebody came in and said to Mr. Phillips, not only do I want you to bake a cake for me, but I want you to bake a cake that depicts specific images that I'm going to, explain to you, and those images violated his religious beliefs, I think you could say that he has the right to say no to that. If he bakes custom cakes if he can make a custom cake for the people and the customization is their name or something along those lines that is similar to what he would do for any other customer who walked in the door, and he said, I don't want to make a custom cake for you because I don't believe that gay marriage is religiously acceptable, then that is discrimination.
No, I disagree here. I disagree here. What you're suggesting, if you take this down the line, what you're suggesting is that the government could tell us exactly how we're able to practice our religious beliefs. I mean, you just detailed exactly how it would work, that the government arbitrarily would say, well, that doesn't seem reasonable to me. Your religious beliefs and how you choose to practice your religion doesn't seem how reasonable how I would practice it, so therefore you aren't allowed to practice it. That's very, very dangerous. That is unconstitutional. In fact, that is why we have a protection of religious liberty and the practice of religious liberty in our Constitution. And it's also why there is no stipulation anywhere in our Constitution that limits the practice of our religion to only within our own home. We are allowed to practice our religion in the public sphere, in the way that we make our living, and we have the right to say, you know what, this artistry, this art is my expression. I do not feel comfortable expressing myself in a way that contradicts my religious views. I don't understand why Democrats can't accept that.
Well, first of all, as I said, religious expression is not a blank check. You do not have the right to use your religious beliefs to justify any belief in the public square. When you operate a business that's open to the public, you do subject yourself to certain restrictions. And so you can take your argument to the other extreme and say, my religious beliefs cause me to think that interracial marriage is unacceptable, and therefore I won't do X, Y, and Z for interracial couples. Imagine a restaurant owner, not a restaurant owner, a chef. Chefs are artists as well. A chef who got up in front of the restaurant and said, everybody who's gay has to leave.
But that's what I'm saying. That's not what this situation is. That's not what this situation is at all, because I actually agree with you on that. The situation was not that these two gay men came into the store and the store owner says, listen, because you are gay, you must leave my store and I will not serve you. He offered them. Contrarily, he offered them to purchase anything that they wanted that was already created in his store. All that he refused, he said, I decline to provide my artistic talent. I decline to provide my free expression to build a custom cake that is counter to my religious beliefs. Those are two entirely separate things. And I think it's very dangerous that liberals don't differentiate between the two, because the end game is that government is going to end up telling us what we can and can't do in regards to our own religion. Last little thing here, we're almost out of time. They're telling me in my ear already, but I have to make this point before we go. Should an atheist who is, say, a florist, should an atheist florist be forced to decorate the crucifix of Jesus Christ in a Catholic church, because even though that violates his own religious beliefs? If he's uncomfortable with that, should he be forced to do that?
Well, that was a point I made earlier. You've got to give some rights to these artists, to these business owners, and if they're asked to make a specific image that violates their religious beliefs, then I think they do have the right to say no. But I don't see a difference between a chef standing up and saying, I'm not going to make my custom-made dinner for some of the people in this room, but I am going to make this custom-made dinner for other people in this room. And I think that's what this baker is doing here. We have to really know, is he being asked to make some kind of sexual image or some other image that he doesn't want to make, which I could totally understand. He has a right by his religious beliefs to not do that. Or it really depends on the facts of the case. But the principle is, it's not just government telling him what to do. I think the chef
analogy is flawed, though, because I think it would be the same. If you wanted to make that analogy, it would be a chef declining to cater a gay wedding, not declining to serve a gay person in his restaurant. Those are two separate things, just like it's separate in the bakery versus whether it's a gay person being discriminated against or a gay wedding that he didn't want to bake for. Ian, I appreciate the intellectual discussion. It's always a delight to talk to you. Thanks for being here.